There we go. Hello, everybody. We are live. Dragon Layer, you were in here early. Roxanne, Miss Lori, Muppet, hello. All in. Give everybody a few minutes to roll on in. A trick. Joey, how you doing? Miss Holly. Hey, all you fishy folks. That's right, Dragon Layer. That's right. Roxanne is own it. Pee Aquatics. All right. Turn that down. All right, you guys. Welcome to Down the Bayou with Chubz and Jess. Jess and Chubz, whichever way you want to put it, I don't care. That's how we roll. Tonight we do have a special guest, someone I've been trying to get on for several weeks now, as y'all know when I introduce him. It's a friend of mine. I met him through my husband, works with my husband. So, hey, GRB. And recently I learned that he is a biologist. And so we've gotten pretty close now since we are working together with some fish. And so, yeah. So, alrighty. Let's see. Unmute you, or you have to unmute you. This is John with Bayou North Aquatics. If he can hear me. Can you hear me? I can't unmute you. You have to unmute you. There you go.
Sorry. Trying to get the cats out.
Did I hear Miss Heather?
No, that would be the Bree.
The Bree. Hey, Bree. Bree is one of my lesson girls now. Oh, hey, I hate stupid people. You made it. It's my live stream. Your buddy's on?
Ooh, dead Fred.
That was funny. Bree was trying to herd cats before the show.
That's nice.
Literally.
I was in the bathroom. I heard it. I was trying to make it to it. He's right there. Thank you. You went, like, come on further in. You can see your head, like, right there. There, see there?
I see a little slice of Joe.
Yeah. He didn't want to get all the way in the picture. He hasn't changed clothes yet.
Did he just come home?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I had to stay behind for something. I don't know what it was. I can't keep up with y'all.
Judge Drew?
Yes, that was it. Yeah, no, I can't keep up with you guys, so I just go with the flow.
Yeah, I've got to go to Judge Drew tomorrow, plus get a test done, plus do a hire back at Joe's facility. So,
Wow.
I'll be working at the Medium tomorrow.
Who is Starks? PL? Hi, John. Love Mama. Is that your mom?
Pat? Yeah, that would be my mama.
Hi, Mama John.
She told me she might be lurking in and seeing what's going on.
Awesome.
I told my mom and my sister.
See?
My older sister keeps
Oh, Dead Fred, what's going on? Everybody's still filing in. Catfish Terry. Hello. It's good to see you. How is school going with your grandson?
Yeah.
Hey, before you guys get into it, can I shamelessly plug that beat channel real quick? What? I don't know what you
Who
mean.
was that?
Dead Fred. He said, hey,
Oh,
before you guys get into it, can I shamelessly
Gil
plug
Catfish.
that?
Yeah, yeah. Y'all can post Gil Catfish.
Huh?
I mean, we get him up over 200 subscribers.
Who?
Gil Catfish.
Oh, no. No, it's not Gil the catfish. It's Gil the goldfish.
Goldfish.
Gil the goldfish.
Gil
Yeah.
Goldfish.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe Roxanne knows about that. Roxanne, if you could put that link in chat, or Dead Fred, if you want to come up and talk about it, you're more than welcome to. Real quick, kind of give everybody. I don't know the whole story, so I don't want to say, but I can put the link in, Dead Fred, if you would like to come on up and explain all of that and why we're trying to get him up to that number. I thought, well, I know today that we got him over 100. But I don't know where, I knew it was over 100, but I don't know how far over 100 it was.
It was over 115, I know.
Okay. Catfish Terry needs to know that too. So if he gets to stream tomorrow, I know he can help out. Here we go. Here's Dead Fred. All right, Dead Fred.
Good evening, folks. Good evening. How you doing tonight?
Good evening. You got it.
All right, I'm gonna make this real short and sweet because I already know that you guys got a program set up, and I don't mean to interrupt, but
you're not.
You're not interrupting at all.
Type of person. I learned real quick that it became uncomfortable to tell veterans thank you for your service. I like to show them my appreciation for their service, and this gentleman Darren, who runs the channel Gil the Goldfish, has unfortunately found himself in a position where he is on his way out. That might sound a little blunt. I don't have a better way of saying it, but it's what it is. And he wanted to reach 100 subs by Christmas, and I can tell you,
he's there.
The video that I posted earlier today, within 2 hours, he was already at 111 subs, and it's my personal goal to try to see that he gets to 200 subs. Now, if you go over to my page and you look at my page, I only got 207 subs. I'm not about trying to get subs anyway. But
he's at, I hate to people just posted, he's at 118 already.
I'd like to see him twice this year for him. So if you could just take the time, go over to the page, hit that subscribe button. Just about all of his videos are just him giving footage of his fish. If you're having a rough day, you're going through something, throw that on. There's just something about watching fish swim around the tank. It's calming, it's relaxing.
Peaceful.
To me, I got PTSD. It does something to my nerves and brings me back down to earth. So
sure.
You know, if you could, please go over there. Just hit the subscribe button, and if you can, share that information. Don't worry about sharing my video. Share his page, and just tell people, hey, hit the subscribe button. It's not going to.
We got it. Not a problem. Right. We own it, Dead Fred. We own it.
All right, folks. I'm gonna hop back down. Get back to the
okay. We'll see you later.
All right.
All right. All right. So everybody hear that? Gil, wait, what is it? Gil the Goldfish. Gil the Goldfish. Yep. Go sub to Gil the Goldfish. Yeah. I'm not very good with talking about that type of stuff. So, I get very emotional. Yeah. So, yeah, y'all just go and do that for him.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Yes. So, yes, moving on. Before y'all see me cry on stream, let's not go there yet. So my friend, John, he is a biologist. And John, tell them exactly what kind of biologist, because I can't remember all the titles.
What I like to study is marine biology, vertebrate zoology, and anything involving genetics between herpetology and ichthyology, and mainly centered around the pet trade. Everything I like to study and look at and do all basically involves modifying what we found and brought and domesticated into different color morphs and forms for the enjoyment of the people in the pet trade.
That's a mouthful, John.
Yes, it
Good
is.
thing I didn't say that. But that's awesome. How long did you go to school?
I as long as I could, but I moved down here to Louisiana, met a wonderful woman with a kid, and did the family thing, and ended up becoming a police officer to pay the bills, and
Hey.
I love that too.
Well, you know, here we
Cool.
can't find no work like that around here anyway. So,
No, and then things the way they are now, the pet trade is pretty much gone 100% to online. So the joy and dream of owning your own local fish store or pet store is pretty few and far between unless you live in a big area.
right.
Right.
Which is what I, wanted to
Right.
do with that, but didn't get to.
Right. Welcome, Alex and Lee. Welcome.
Lee.
Alex said, because you can't see chat, right, John?
No, I can't. So
Okay.
let's say we
So-
got questions. Are we?
Right. So
I
what we're
think
going to do tonight is, since we have a biologist and we've already done Queen, the female guppy, and everybody in here pretty much has a good knowledge, I believe, of what we were trying to get out. To a small extent anyway. Gave you a direction to go if you wanted to look into it even more. Of course, if you could crawl into Alex's head, you would know it all. But
Even Alex probably could learn something now.
he's an encyclopedia. But so yeah, tonight we're just gonna do Q&A with John. So anybody that has questions, and we're gonna leave it open, not just to guppies, to anything. I wish that. Hey, can anybody get a hold of Aquaballs and get him over here? I don't know if anybody's got his digits or anything, but if you do, get him over here. I'd like him to talk to John about their snakes, because
we start talking about snakes, my mama gonna have to check out.
Well, we're gonna start out with fish because it'll be a minute anyway. But so anybody that has any questions about freshwater, saltwater, whatever. I don't even know what ichthyology is.
Ichthyology is the study of fish.
Ichthyology.
Just
Okay. And what was
fish
the
in
other
general.
one?
Herpetology would be reptiles.
Okay. I was thinking like, I'm goofy, but ichthyology to me was like insects. Ew, ick.
That's entomology, but yes. No. Ichthyology from the word ichthos, which is the Greek word for fish. I do believe. Don't hold me to that one, but it's pretty close. I'll be laughing. It's one of those languages that we don't speak here in America.
Yeah, right.
Fred got a question for him.
Who?
Fred.
Dead Fred?
What you got, Dead Fred?
Let's see. Well, I think he's just... okay, it didn't scroll down. Okay, what do you know about the ratio of males to females being dependent on pH, temperature, etc.? With what fish? Does that matter?
It does matter with what fish, and it does matter what its base genetic form came out of, so to speak. Like if you're dealing with African cichlids, and most mouth brooders from, and even a lot of the Congo tetras and stuff from that area, the higher pH and a higher temperature is going to yield out a larger male ratio, and you lower the pH and you lower the temperature and you'll end up with a higher female ratio. And the same thing goes through your snakes, lizards, and leopard geckos, ball pythons, and stuff like that. You can sometimes adjust the ratios to a small degree by adjusting the temperature, but it's a fine line to play with that most breeders and most people aren't willing to do. because if you swing too far in either direction, you risk losing an entire clutch of both. So personally, I prefer to say the middle ground.
So in general, just say guppies.
In general, just guppies.
Let's say guppies in general. If you were going for a more of a male count in that spawn, what would you raise the temperature to?
If I was having too many males, I would lower the temperature to closer to the 75, 76 degrees Fahrenheit.
For male.
To get more females if you're male heavy already.
Okay, but if you're wanting more males, what would you raise it to?
If you're wanting more males, I would raise that temperature up to between 79 and 81. I don't prefer to go to 82. It's a doable thing, and you can breed them at 82, but you're also looking at increased growth rates, increased calcium consumption rates, and keeping that up to par to keep the animal healthy and getting a long-lived pet as well as healthy offspring. It's a little high, and they grow too fast. And I don't like to power grow anything. It's doable, and a lot of farms do it because they want to pump out a lot of fish, and the more they sell, the shorter they live, the more fish they're going to sell. And that's just not something that I agree with doing.
Right. So in nature, in the summertime, where they're at and the water temperature is warm, Thailand, Indonesia, all them places,
they're going to have a heavier male count. They're going to end up with a heavier male count. You still will end up with females, but you're going to end up with a lot heavier male count on the temperature, which is great for them because it's probably 10 to 1, just guessing on sales.
Wow.
Males to females when it comes to guppies.
Right. But when you're on our end of it. Yeah.
Fred's question?
Oh, okay. He said he'll try the triangular mark on. Hang on, let me do this. Can you see it if I put it on the screen, John? It says the triangular mark on juvenile female betas. Is that present in all gourami species or on the beta genus?
That is one that I've never researched, so I honestly couldn't answer that without lying. Not going to do that. I wouldn't. I don't know. That's too far out of my wheelhouse.
I hear you. Well, at least you're honest about it.
Oh yeah. If I don't know, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, and we have George said, or somebody said George has been summoned, and so he should be here shortly. And Alex, Bayou North.
Alex.
Who is it?
Yeah,
yes,
it's me.
Yeah,
I just wanted to add something, and then I'll shut up and go away.
Whatever.
But essentially, so hey, John, how's it going, man?
Wonderful.
And other John.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
John squared. So the reason, if you think about it for guppies and equatorial species, the reason that works, the way to remember it, is that females can colonize new water. And so if there's low TDS, that means that it's been raining. And in equatorial and like warm jungle regions, they have a wet season and a dry season, and that's it. So as the dry season progresses, the puddles drop, the water evaporates, the TDS increases, and oftentimes so does the pH and the leaf material too, but not enough to keep up with the pH. And so in some places, like in Borneo, there's exceptions, like with licorice gouramis, because there's so much leaf material that the pH actually drops as the water drops. But in most of the world, the water in the rivers goes down, and all these lakes and rivers and tributaries dry up into ponds, like in the Pantanal in Brazil, for instance. And so the TDS skyrockets, the temperature goes up, and the water level and water pressure goes down. And so if it's that season, then they want more males, because the males can select a female that's already there, and more males, they can see their colors, their breeding patterns and things like that evolutionarily. Whereas if it's raining enough that the rivers have overspilled their banks again, then you want females, because one female only needs to make it to a new body of water to start a whole new colony. So evolutionarily, it's selected for the females to come out when the water's flowing and the TDS is lower and the temperature is lower because it's monsoon or rainy season.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
About 100% perfectly right.
I like that. That's awesome.
And
go ahead.
and George, I just texted him. He said he'll be here in a second. So.
He is here. He
Oh,
is
sweet.
here.
Hey, George.
Yes. He is here. You don't have to go if you don't want to, Alex. You can hang on. I mean,
Well,
like
maybe
I said,
I'll just hang and be quiet unless I have anything that anybody wants to know. But I'll hang.
Okay. Okay, John. Dragon layer. You're gonna have. Can you see this on your screen? Because I can't say any of those words.
Yes.
Okay. Whatever cats are female heavy, hard at 8 pH, 80 degrees.
I'm gonna have to look up that specific species, and I don't have a problem doing that. But I can look up that specific species, and I'll help him on an individual basis. If you can just give him my info, and I'll help him individually with that and see what we can do.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna have to do some more research on that in myself. Find out where what the base species is for that catfish, and figure out where the problem is with that one.
Okay, alrighty.
And that might come down to just an actual genetic issue where his females, his males throw more females. It's a male linked trait to when you have the males and females, the male typically decides the sex of the offspring when it comes to a genetic level. It's just temperature and stuff in fish. Usually temperature and pH and everything affects which eggs make it all the way through the process and which don't.
Well,
hang on, I'm sorry. I'm typing. Doing two things at one time. I don't know anything about what kind of is that? What kind of fish is that? Anyway, that Dragon Layer's asking about. Is it like a cory cat, like a type of catfish?
No, it's not corridors.
He said tell him they are Malawi Moombas. Moomba. Hang on. Before I butcher it. Is the beef salad?
The video trophy.
Buddha.
His mbunas.
Mbudas.
It's African rock cichlids.
Lee. Hey, Lee. Chris John.
I dealt mostly with peacocks in my African cichlid stuff. I did some bunas, but I did mostly peacocks. So they're used to year round in the rift, the rift valleys. The temperature and pH pretty much stays the same. So that's probably just going to be your males are throwing more. That their pH and stuff and their temperature doesn't swing. They actually come from a trapped saltwater fish that turned freshwater as the lakes moved away from the ocean and stayed full the way the region was made geographic. So with them, pH and temperature isn't going to affect. It's just going to be pretty much solely based on the genetics of what your male throws. So in the wild, a female heavy would be a good thing. You know, more girls, more babies.
Right.
Because one male can fertilize with a mouth brooder. Like that, one male can fertilize, 50, 60 females.
Well,
Happy dude.
Yeah. Dragon Lair at 10:17. Sorry, I missed your stream. We'll watch the replay. Dragon Lair at 10:17. I don't see that. I have 1 male and 3 females, 50 fry. The fry are 15. Let's see. The fry are 15 females to every male. That's what Dragon Lair said.
For an Mbuna, that's not a bad ratio. I mean, it's a little female heavy. I would hopefully, prefer to see something more like a 8 or 10 to 1. 15 to 1's about half more than what you normally see. But if you really want, I would possibly think about replacing your male with a male from a different bloodline, from a different source, and see what that changes in your colony.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I was just curious, is because, males have an X and a Y chromosome, is that a trait that travels on the female chromosome or the male chromosome? Do you know?
Which trait? The
prevalence? Yeah, or is it not chromosomal linked?
It is. You have the males and female, X and Y. So
yeah.
every sperm cell starts as a full cell, and it splits into 2 halves pretty much. Half the information. Just like you get half from the mother, half from the father. Well,
yeah.
1 half of the male chromosome is an X, and the other half is a Y. It's, the only reason it says X and Y is because it's missing that fourth leg. The X has 4 pieces, the Y has 3. So when you split a Y in 2, you have half an X on one side and a single bar on the other. Does that make sense if I explain it that way?
Yeah. So what I was curious about is, since the male is the only one that can contribute a Y.
Correct.
I was just curious if that means that all female amounts are also determined by the male then too, because they can give an X, but only males can make more males.
Exactly. Only males can make more males.
Okay.
But you also have the other factors that come in that we really can't explain.
Okay. That's what I was curious.
It's really hard to put it in terms without using words that I have to even look at and reread 5 times to be able to explain it. Which,
that's okay.
Watching your channel and the history in your tank and stuff, we have a lot of very similar thoughts. But no, there's some things, just like within snakes, a female doesn't see a male for so many years, can still wind up, fertilizing all her own eggs, and her eggs come out viable as mini clones of the mother.
Right.
It's just, there are factors involved that the female chooses on water conditions, housing, where she is in nature, that we can't really. It almost makes it really, really hard to adjust because we don't know.
Yeah. So there's a theory right now about scarlet batis, which are known to be hermaphroditic, like they can change their gender. And one of the thoughts, and the one that I was leaning towards, is that that there's, because it's not all of them that are, it's probably about 20% they think that are in the one study that I've seen that's actually peer reviewed, and they think that it's individuals that have XXY chromosomes that also have ovaries and express as female in the fish world, but they have that chromosomal information to reproduce another male. Whereas in humans, if you have XXY, I think you end up a male with female traits, right? Or do I have that mixed up?
Human genetics is way more complex to
Okay.
try to put that to when you put a lower.
Yeah.
For
Okay.
better word, when you're talking about a lower
Order. Yeah.
order of animal compared to a human, it's almost like putting apples to oranges. They're both fruit, but
Sure.
they ain't anywhere close to the same. I'll
Okay.
brush my teeth and eat one. I won't brush my teeth and eat the other.
No worries. I got you. I was just curious. So that makes sense then, that it's dependent on the male's chromosome then.
Yeah, it's just a lot more simplified when dealing with the lower orders.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I have it up here. Did you answer this one about Dragon Lair? He said that, so he need to, well, let's see, I'm going to say it like this. He said, I need to self-fry in trios or 1 to 3 groups and not getting enough male fry to do that.
True. He doesn't have enough male fry to sell them in trios. He needs to replace his main male, and he probably does not need to line breed that colony back. He needs to completely separate males from females and get a new male into the batch. And that's the joy of breeding fish, is sometimes you got to start over again. And he needs to get a new male with new bloodline in there and see if that adjusts the ratio out, and that'll determine whether it's genetically a genetic default in his male. He doesn't need to keep breeding that same male.
And what's wrong with the male?
He's throwing not enough male offspring. That
has nothing to do with temperature?
No, not with that species. It's in the Abuna. It's not going to have anything to do with temperature or pH.
Oh.
It's going to be a genetic issue on your male, and you're
like humans.
I would start by replacing him.
Like humans.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Dead Fred said, Alex, hold up. XXY chromosome as in a double X. That's possible?
It's rare, but it's possible.
I don't know what that means, so that's okay.
It's not like it's an everyday occurrence. It's especially in humans, it's a very few and far between thing.
Okay. John Larson.
Lee,
go for it.
Lee thinks he was born triple X.
Get that tattoo, Lee. Get that tattoo.
The things he can do for his country.
No kidding.
Right. That's the line of the whole movie.
King and country. Okay, so John Larson says, in the wild, wouldn't there be more males to protect the females? The African lakes are very harsh to get to adulthood.
What's up, Aquaphone?
No, not in fish. They're not. The females aren't dependent on the males for protection. They're just as aggressive. So.
Because they're sick. Is y'all talking about cichlids?
Yeah, we're talking about cichlids. The female cichlid is just as aggressive as the male. He's going to defend his nest in his little area, but his whole goal is to get as many girls through that bed as he can.
Yep.
So it's not an issue of the male protects the female. He'll protect a harem of females. that
I like
he
that
kind of
word.
keeps secluded, tries to keep pushed around. But as most people who do keep cichlids know, those girls got a mind of their own, and they'll go where they want, when they want.
Right.
Ted Fred said, "Relax, Alex. Does that explain feminine males and masculine females?" I don't think Alex is here at the moment. I think he's lurking or something. I don't know. He can't hear us, but John Mike can answer you.
That's a discussion for a different day. I think we're talking about fish. I'm staying away from that topic.
Oh, that has nothing to do with fish. Okay.
No. Staying
My
away from
bad.
that topic with a 39.5-foot pole, as the Grinch says.
Oh, okay. Alex is in chat. He says, Derek, historically, possibly two-spirit Native Americans and males with breasts prominent, but not culturally. What?
Needless to say, when you come into the cultural aspect of that question, I'm staying out of it.
He said it's a cultural construct in humans in most cases. Yeah, I'm lost. That one's going over the top of my head. We'll go with that. I'm glad you got it, Alex. Dragon Lair said African cichlids don't form pairs like South and Central American cichlids.
No, not at all. They don't pair off. It's not like I said, it's just he wants to breed as many females as he can before he's spent, so to speak.
So he doesn't pair off with anything. He just tries to breed anything like a guppy as quick as he can.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
okay.
The brute effort.
It didn't go too far over my head.
Yeah, but I say if it's there and it presents itself, he's going to breed it. But just like with it is a lot like with guppies. The male has to have the brightest, the biggest egg spots on his fin, and they want to be the best looking with the most egg spots, so the females will fertilize them faster. They're mouth brooders, so she's going to drop the eggs into the nest, and he's going to lay with them, and he has a spot on the bottom of his anal fin that looks pretty much just like an egg. And as she goes to suck the eggs up into her mouth for protection, he fertilizes them at the same time.
Yep.
So,
wow.
If you want to get, high school crude with that, in the African cichlid world, a BJ will get you knocked up.
There you go.
There you go. I said the same thing. Oh my gosh. Okay, Dead Fred said he meant in appearance, not the whole 2020 political thing. Alex got the answer. At least it makes sense to him. Okay. I don't know. And then Alex says humans. Okay, hang on. I got to make it bigger.
Yeah, no offense, Dead Fred, but I didn't know where you were going with that. I don't know you all that well, so I was just going to cut it off and not go there at all.
Alex said humans act male or female based on culture and society. The genetics are only physical traits, and usually hormone imbalances are responsible far more often than, I don't know what, Klinefelter's syndrome? Klinefelter's syndrome? Something like that.
It's a big word for me.
Yeah. Alex, you'll have to come back up there and pronounce that word. And the next one that you have in that one. Dude, just come back on up here.
Hermaphrodite and Klinefelter's syndrome.
There you go. There you go. Now, what's this other here? hermaphrodism is actually not chromosomes.
It's where you express both male and female reproductive
My
parts.
earphone fell out. So hermaphrodism in humans, you're always going to be sterile. But Klinefelter syndrome is when you have more than 2 chromosomes. So you can have women who have 3 X chromosomes, or men who have 2 Ys and an X, or men who have, just different combos. It can actually go up to 4 chromosomes in really rare cases. That's like 1 in 100 million, though. But it's possible. And hermaphrodites, though, are actually 1% of the human population has some form of hermaphrodism. I'm an anthropologist. That's the only reason I know this. And that just is the physical expression or phenotype of external genitalia rather than your genetic makeup. So it can be a copying error or an epigenetic error in the way that your DNA read the code thinking this is a male or female. So that's how you end up with both male and female parts externally, for instance. But in fish, it works differently. So
I had a calf a few years ago was hermaphrodite. Actually had both genital parts.
Yeah, and some animals like amphibians.
It didn't live long. But
some animals though, like amphibians, are totally viable still with that, but humans are not, as far as I've ever read on the literature. Yeah, I mean, when you're a hermaphrodite, since you're not actually, your X and Y chromosomes are still correct usually. You are either going to be a boy or a girl, fertility wise, or not fertile. So it's possible that you would be fertile. It's just it's far more common that they're not.
It would have to be one or the other, though. It wouldn't be fertile.
Yeah, and so nowadays they do a genetic test, and usually they give the parents the option of doing plastic surgery at birth, and so that's how they fix it. But in a lot of cultures, that's why people say that gender is a construct, and this is where, John said he didn't want to handle it, and I understand why. But sex is a biological trait. Gender is how you act. So dressing like a girl, cross-dressing, that's gender. Whereas sex is what you are biologically. And biologically, there's actually like 7 genders if you count those weird symptoms. Or I shouldn't say weird, those very unusual circumstances. However, the 1% hermaphrodite rate is not trivial. If you think about a tribal culture with 200-300 people, they're gonna encounter that over the history of a small village, probably at some point. And so a lot of cultures, Thailand, Nepal, and all over North America, they have cultural institutions that account for that, where they call it a two-spirit, or you're a male and a female soul living in one body. And oftentimes they were viewed as like, sometimes in some cultures they were killed at birth, but more often than not, they were actually revered and thought to be like the gods picking both and trapping you in one body so that you could mediate marriage disputes and things. So
I would think in some cultures they would think that would be, they would make that their like they would think that would be like their medicine person, just
exactly
special one.
At that point, it really bends down to the society and the culture that you live in. It was either accepted or not accepted.
Right.
Yeah. Victorian society is when America as a whole stopped talking about it. But it had to be talked about before that, because there wasn't a good surgery to fix it. You either killed the baby after it was born, or you had to deal with these people, 1% of the population, give or take. Now, that can just be a very minor expression, or it can be full on like, whoa, those are both organs, So that 1% figure is a little misleading, but still, yeah.
That's it. It's not 1% that's just full on, especially in humans. It's not.
No.
So.
Aquafunk. He said, Jess, your live streams seem to attack social issues that most people run from. I love it. Well, you know. Is
Hey,
what
if
it
there's
is. We let it
if
flow.
if there's science to support it, I don't have a problem saying what the
And I
scientific
don't,
consensus is on it for now, you
right.
know.
I don't have a problem with it at all.
But my, your opinion on those things, that's where we need to be civil with each other, and I think everyone here's being civil, so I think we're fine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right. Dead Fred says, interesting, but internally you're not actual hermaphrodite. Is this restricted to just humans, or is it due to the foreign genome in the DNA?
It's so Klinefelter syndrome is the name of it when you have different amounts of chromosomes, and technically, in order to reproduce with a weird disordinate number of contributing hormones. So, for instance, you may only be able to produce male offspring if you were YYX or something like that. Actually, that wouldn't be the case. There's the case where you can only create daughters is actually not that uncommon. I mean, it's uncommon, but it's not like unheard of. And that's when males have some issue where they basically have a dominance of chromosome expression. But yeah, a hermaphrodite is a genetic thing. It's a phenotype. It's the way your soft tissue and organ tissue is built when you're a fetus and then through puberty. And it's generally not as it's not like a fully formed this or that. That's very rare, but it does occur. I mean, people have been born with 2/3 of something, or 4 arms, or 3 arms. It's a very similar error to that. It's an external error. It's not a genetically viable error. So when you're talking about reproduction, it doesn't really factor in at all. And in most cases, it's actually damaged that organ tissue in a way that you're not going to have viable offspring generally as a hermaphrodite. Generally. In a natural world setting.
I hate stupid people said that he was just about to say that the hermaphrodite in certain cultures would be trained up to take on like a spiritual leader role for the tribe, like a shaman.
Yeah, so that's like in Native American society, the word you may have heard of down in Louisiana is berdache, and that is a really inappropriate word. That it's a hate slur from French brothels.
Uh-huh.
But it was the name that became very common for white people to call the medicine men or women in a tribe. But it now the term is two-spirit, which is the actual translation of that. But that was one thing that was in almost all Native American nations. They held that person in esteem rather than casting them out. And Tibet is another place where they actually had such a high mortality rate of genders that there's still to this day females marry multiple males, and that's the only society that I know of anthropologically where polygamy goes the other way, where women have multiple husbands because it's so dangerous and resources are so limited that it works out better that way to have the men go risk themselves and the women stay back, essentially. So from an anthropological standpoint, it gets really crazy, and y'all can talk to me on my own, but I don't want to monopolize John's time anymore since he's being so kind to be here. So let's talk about fish, baby.
I hear you.
But I'm happy to talk about it if people want to hit me up. It's fine.
Hey, Rocket, fishy bird. Welcome.
Well, I mean, everybody seems to be, enjoying it.
Something I don't know.
We'll right. Dead Fred has said, so when the fish has those triple chromosomes or polychromosomal coding, do they display both masculine and feminine traits, and are they functional? Like, can they breed?
Typically, no. Typically, they're sterile and can't do much of anything. They won't be able to dominate enough in a traditional breeding standpoint to even fight for a female. If you force one with just having a pair of them and your male is like that, one, good luck, it's going to be real rare. But two, it's probably not going to breed in captivity, and it's just not going to end up being viable.
Do they have like deformities, I guess, with that?
What do you mean? What,
like if like that calf that I had, it had both external areas, but because of that, it had issues. Like, well, I won't go into what the issues were, but it didn't make it because of those issues. It didn't make it, but maybe like a week. So in fish, if they have both, if they're hermaphrodites or they have that, do they end up having issues that show?
Yeah, most of them do end up having other issues that make them not even able to live past a few weeks if they even make it out of the egg.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Dragon Layer said Jess wanted to learn about guppy genetics. Now she's getting a real genetic education.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Rockford, hey. Let's see, GRB, what about the self-cloning crayfish? Don't they breed without having any crayfish? Have a crayfish. So what about the self-cloning crayfish? Don't they breed without having a crayfish?
That's asexual reproduction, which is a completely different topic that happens. I mean, worms are the most well known for it, but
Worms.
yeah, lots of worms are self-cloning or asexual reproduction, which, crayfish being even lower than a fish on the order of animal phylums and stuff. It's self-replication is an easier way to reproduce when nothing else is available.
So a crayfish is a crawfish, what we call crawfish, right?
Yes.
Okay. If a crawfish can self-clone, why can't shrimp?
Not all crawfish can do it.
Oh, but it's just crawfish that can. No shrimp can.
Well, there are probably some shrimp out there that can. There's so many different species that I couldn't keep up with them all. I'm sure one or two of them have that ability, but the ones that we keep in the aquarium trade cannot.
Interesting. Lee said, Dragon Layer, it is fascinating. I watch documentaries on it. Yep, for sure. I think it's all fascinating. I could sit and listen for hours and hours and hours and hours, and then by the end of the day, have to turn around and rewatch it again because it didn't absorb a small amount of it. But I like it. I hate stupid people says, I like the two-spirit reference. I never hear fit before that. What? I don't know what you're saying. Sorry. Try that again. And then I hate stupid people was just telling Fred that he's got good questions. And Rockford says that he thinks so. He has seen babies. And Dragon Layer.
I'm going to go ahead and jump over here, Jess, and we're going to use the bathroom before the next stream.
Okay.
And I'll see y'all on the other side.
Sounds good.
All right. All right. See y'all in a little bit, everybody. Chat.
Okay. And so Dead Fred says, thanks. Whatever. I don't know what IHSP means. But now you see why I got kicked out of the holy places as a child. What? Dragon Layer. Dead Fred, I don't understand. I don't understand. Anywho, what are you looking at, John? Nothing?
I kind of locked the cat in the room,
Oops.
so I had to leave the tank.
Oops.
So I thought I'd go to the show tank to finish up here.
Okay, he said that he was, okay, he was saying that he likes the two-spirit descriptor because he'd never heard of the phrase before. What is that? Am I missing something? I don't know. Do you understand that, John?
Yeah, it's the way Alex explained things on the social end of the anthropology compared to how I look at it, how it's looked at genetically. It's just he liked. I hate stupid people liked that the way it was explained.
Okay, I see.
Is what I get from it.
Thank you, Roxanne. She so it started from Dead Fred, I guess, asked Rockford, are they fertile? Have you noticed? And so I think that was the conversation between them that I picked up.
Well, I think also, so what was going on too is from a biological standpoint, purely, fish, you can argue whether fish have culture or not. It's kind of a moot point. It doesn't really matter. But humans, we have culture and we have to interact with people. And so I think they're saying that they like that there's a place socially that's constructed in some cultures for people seem to inhabit both roles of gender, whereas traditionally our culture doesn't do that. Our traditional culture is male or female, tomboy or sissy boy, you know, one of those things, but you have two options for gender. Whereas from a biological standpoint, you really have, well, three options kind of, and 6 or 7 kind of, even really, really rarer. So from John's standpoint, though, it doesn't matter about culture. It's all about the genetics. And from a lot of human standpoints, they say the same thing, like just pick one or whatever. But, you know, like you said, you've dealt with it.
It's not that easy. But
yeah, exactly.
Scientifically, it's like there's A, there's B, there's a mix of A, B.
Yeah.
You can't say it's C, it's A and B together. So
right. Whereas some people these days are trying to say there's 80 genders, and from a scientific standpoint, outside of anthropology, that doesn't make any sense from a biological point of view.
Exactly.
And from my personal point of view, it's somewhere in between that, and everything is culturally created, so it's just about what we want to accept. And to me, there's only a certain amount of things that we categorize people into male or female for ease of conversation. And I think just teaching people to be compassionate is way more important than the adverb or pronouns, you know, that you're using to describe a person or what they like or how they act. I mean, just ask them how they want to be addressed. And from there on out, I mean, to me, it's just like either use they or them. This is my personal view, and it gets really controversial, obviously, but that would keep it vague, you know, because I think it is rude to say it is coming over tonight, you know, about someone who's in between genders.
Right.
But from a biological standpoint, there isn't really a viable third gender, anyways. You're either male or female. And so in human history, because of that, we've just chosen one or the other in Western society. But in Native society of Native Americans and a couple South American Amazonian tribes, in Tibetan culture, in Thailand, there's cultures around the world where, you know, they're like you. They have livestock for thousands of years, and so they see these things happen, and they're like, what does it mean? I mean, they don't necessarily they didn't have DNA tests or anything, so they had to come up with another term. And so most cultures have either 4 genders or 3 genders if they don't have 2. And that's men who think they're women or who spiritually are women, quote unquote, or it's people who are both, or it's women who are spiritually men. So traditionally in like tribal cultures, those are kind of your options most of the time. There are a couple oddball like Polynesian tribes that have other, you know, things, but as a cultural construct, the new thing of having like wanting to be addressed by the letter X or something like that, that's all very new, and that's why people, I think, get so heated about it, is it's all very controversial. Plus, it's asking everyone else to conform to an issue that's scientifically a 1 in a million or less issue, the way it expresses itself. So that's where it gets controversial for humans.
Is there more than an XX or the XY chromosomes?
Yes, but it's really rare.
It's rare. It's so rare that it's almost, I mean, not that it's not worth talking about, but
right, exactly.
When it comes down to the pet trade and fish keeping and all that stuff, it's, or even if you're doing reptiles or anything like that, it's not much worth discussing because the rarity is too much.
And in that case, it's often a chimera, which is like 2 identical twins that fused, or 2 twins that fused. And so you're getting 2 samples of DNA, and it gets really, really elaborate. And we still don't even know all the biology behind some of the variations of that. But there are humans that you can literally take DNA from their head and from their skin, and it's going to show you 2 different people.
Exactly. It's almost like what we would have called a Siamese twin, you know, conjoined twins. It's like, you know, they share a liver, they share a uterus, they share a this, they share that. Well, in a chimera, you share 100% of everything. So, and there's been several cases that have been shown where even skin tone, because it was fraternal twins that fused instead of identical, and it just, you know, so the skin tone was different and the hair color, like, you know, one had a different hair color than the other, or, you know.
Yeah, there's been 2
parachromia.
Yeah, there's been 2 crime cases where they actually use DNA since the 90s in America. One in America, one in France, I believe, where they had someone in prison and then they tried to DNA test them again in court after they'd taken the initial mouth swab, and they took blood, and it was completely different, and so they let them go. And later they found video of that woman committing the murder, and so they were like, does she have a twin? What's going on?
Right.
And so they DNA tested her, you know, in a bunch of ways, and they found she was a chimera. She had 2 different sets of DNA. So some people know that story from like Lifetime, or, you know, they made a couple movies about it, but it's super rare.
CSI Las Vegas has an episode about it too, but it is extremely rare.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Rockford Fish Keeping is asking, just to clarify, there's more than XX and XY. Yes, there's XXX, there's XYY, there's XXXX. Any up to, I think 4 is the max. I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but I think anything beyond that, almost 100% mortality rate.
Yeah, you're about to say anything over that, and still, even with that, you're looking at a high mortality rate.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's all sorts of things that can go wrong. Like you could be producing too much, you know, human growth hormone and have a problem with the growth rate of the fetus because the pituitary gland's fighting over female versus male signals, and then you can have, you know, intestinal entanglements and things like that. So, yeah,
it reads that DNA coding wrong, and it's going to make your internal organs not grow properly and everything else. So you're looking at a lot of complications.
That, and you have to remember that usually when DNA goes wrong, it actually goes crucially wrong, and that's why 30% of pregnancies end in miscarriages. If you look at all ages of women, it's much lower in young women, but that's the average for women in general, and that is a natural way biologically that the body says, you know what, we made way too many errors early on, and this thing, it's not going to go well. And so it's rare, and it's how evolution happens when you make one error and that offspring is still fertile. However, this mutation, this error in copying in humans, as far as I know, never leads to a fertile individual, so it never gets passed on, and therefore it doesn't play a role in evolution, essentially.
And that same thing, it happens a lot, especially in guppies and especially in fish and and lots of things that we've domesticated. And when it's something that's visually pleasing to us, like the short-bodied ram, the balloon molly, or even just different colors, when we came out with orange blotch, and the if you look at the Libidinochromis, what we call the yellow lab, which is African cichlid, bright yellow with a gorgeous black stripe down its back. Well, in the wild, that cichlid is blue.
Oh.
They weren't yellow until they started being bred over and over and over again, and the yellow popped out. Well, that canary yellow was a lot more visually pleasing in your freshwater fish tank than this steel blue color was. So we bred the fool out of the yellow, and now you can't find a blue Libidinochromis anywhere. And so they've also re-released the yellow lab into the wild population for collection purposes.
Oh boy!
So now you can't even find a blue Libidinochromis like hardly anywhere at all.
And the other thing, real quick, is the ribbon guppies. That's their actual gonopodium that's so long. So that is a case of not hermaphrodism, but of a genetic error affecting the expression of genitalia on an animal.
Yes.
Well, let's shut down right here and hop over to Chubz and continue this, because I have a question about that. So, everybody, we're going to go over to Chubz' channel now. The link is in chat, and I'll see y'all over there.